doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's always lovely to talk to you, which I've done a few times in the last few months because you've been so
Yeah.
busy.
I feel like we're never not chatting to each other.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at least we're not talking about Belfast this time, even though Belfast is wonderful. But you'll get to talk about that again for a few more months, I'd imagine. Congrats on Outlander.
Thank you.
It's been moderately successful thus far.
Few people have seen it. My
Okay,
mom, my dad. No.
that's enough, isn't it? Just mum and dad. That's enough.
Oh, yeah.
That's enough. I mean, this all those years ago, as you know, the guys were just telling me it'll be coming up to 10 years in a year or two. You guys you've been doing this, and you've been there from the beginning. How has this kind of changed things for you? You know, you've been there for so long. You've seen the evolution of this character and the trajectory. Have you got your head around the fact that it's been that long and people are still so invested in this series?
Well, it's I mean, it's mad. You don't really ever expect, I think you go into, I mean, at least me, I go into every job with try and have zero expectations, just hope that on the day to day it's fun, right? And this job was no different. Like we started in 2013, we started shooting. And it was kind of like, oh, maybe this will be a fun year in Scotland and I'll get to do this. And then I'll go back to LA and it'll have been a lovely experience. And, here we are almost 9 years later and it seems to just be growing every year rather than, I think some shows peter out and they sort of, people forget about it, but this doesn't seem to be the case. And it's just it's a wild privilege.
Do you remember the time when it changed for you in terms of maybe being recognized or the fan base? Was there a moment, maybe season one or season two, where you just thought, oh, this is bigger than I anticipated?
Um, I think it's funny. I mean, it was very popular in the States sort of early on, and that sort of, occasionally when we would go to the US, you'd get a glimmer of that. But in the UK, it still felt very under the radar. And so I think the first time I got stopped in a supermarket in Glasgow, I was like, oh, you know, I've been I've been walking around basically in my pajamas and like, getting away with it. And now you realize you're like, oh, I better scrub up a bit when I leave the house now.
Taking you back to the beginning of this, what was your initial kind of draw to Claire? And obviously it was only one season then, but there'd obviously been the source material and everything else. What was your initial kind of draw to her and the series as a whole?
Well, I remember I read the book before I'd done my chemistry test with Sam, and I just remember being so excited by all of the action and sort of all of the things that my character was going to get to experience and go through. And the fact that she was such a mouthy, bolshy, um, real justice warrior. She kind of stood up for what she believed in and she took people to task and all of that just seemed so fun. But yet there was a real softness to her as well. And, she loved so fiercely, but she fought so fiercely. Like those things, I think being able to sort of go through the expanse of human emotion is a really enticing thing as an actor, to be able to have these big emotional moments but also funny moments and action, all of those things. It just seemed like such an all-round exciting prospect, and it was and still is, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I mean you've done it for so long. I mean, very rarely do people, as you as actors, get to go back to a character, unless you do one of these bigger movies that are connected franchises or do a show like this. It's very rare that you get to do it. How unique a challenge is that to go back and play it? I guess with this one, it's a little bit different given the source material is so good and always kind of evolving.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the challenges is that you don't want to get stale, right? You don't want to sort of feel like you're going back and doing the same thing over and over again. And I think the great thing with the premise of this show is that it does feel like every season there are very new things to explore, be they the external things or the internal things. I think this season has been a really special one for me in terms of Claire's internal journey. And I've been able to, she's unraveled in a way that we've never really seen before. I've been able to unpick her in a way that I've never done before. And then, you know, allow that to sort of build back up. And that's been, I think to be challenged in that way 6 seasons in is really unusual, and I'm damn grateful for it, because I think the fear is always that you get bored or you stop being challenged.
Yeah. And I guess obviously you already, I was just talking to the guys and they were saying about how the fans have already kind of want to know about season 7, even though season 6 has come out, and that they seem to know more about their characters than they do. Do you kind of share that feeling that they tend to know more than you guys ever will?
Oh, I mean, they definitely know more about the plot and what happens for sure. I think sometimes you have to be careful when you start talking to them, because they're like, no, that doesn't happen. This happens. You're like, oh, right, yeah. No, I remember that. Of course, sure.
And obviously, you and you got this fantastic cast, you and Sam at the height of it, and you've shared, so many years with this cast, but also Sam in particular. How has that kind of imbued itself on you? The fact that you've created this kind of extra family, and that it'll probably be bittersweet when you guys have to say goodbye, whenever that will be.
Oh my God, I don't want to think about that. That would be so crazy. God, it's wild. Like at the moment, I'm in LA. I know Cesar. I just bumped into him the other evening. So I know he's here. I know Lauren's here. I know Richard's coming, and we're all trying to like arrange a little like get together. I saw Sam not that long ago. He was here. Oh God, it must have been 3 weeks ago. It's really, it is. It's like a family. It's like we've all experienced something that nobody else will experience in the same way. Lots of people are on TV shows, but this is our unique experience, and we share that, and that's going to be a lifelong bond. And it's the same with a lot of our crew, because a lot of our crew have been there from day one as well, which is mental. But yeah, it's I think we made a really conscious decision in the beginning, Sam and I. We knew that we were going to be the two that were sort of at the center of this story. And we made a conscious decision to have each other's backs, but to also lead from the front and create an environment that was really welcoming and really supportive, because that's what you want. You want to go to work in a place where you feel like you're making sure that everyone's having the best experience they can. Otherwise it's miserable, and why would you want to have that as your daily life?
Yeah. Has Claire kind of, do you find her that she's rubbed off on you in terms of your work now and your acting work? Do you feel like some of her characteristics have kind of seeped into your consciousness, or maybe subconsciously, that she's always there in some shape or form?
I don't know. I don't know. It's a funny one. I think I wouldn't have gotten cast as her if we didn't have some innate similarities. But I think those realizations probably only come with hindsight. And I think I'm still so in it that you don't really get to know. I mean, I know I've grown as a person in the last, 8.5 years. I know that this show has given me confidence. It's given me a lot of opportunity. So with that comes confidence too. But in terms of what her as a character has given me, it's hard to sort of, I don't know, analyze that in a way. And I'm sure if I'm looking back in 10, 15 years, maybe I'll be able to like see that. But right now it feels like I'm still so in it.
Yeah. As a final question, I asked this to the guys as kind of a fun finale. So at the moment, they've both said the 80s and the 90s are the 2 decades they would love to see their characters go into, even for a short time. Is there a decade you'd love to see Claire kind of sink her teeth into if she got the opportunity?
Oh man. I mean, I think if Claire had been in the States the last 4 years, it would be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see how many of those women's marches she would have been, heading.
Yeah, that's kind of the perfect place for her to. Now you've said it, I'm kind of like, oh, there, that's exactly where she would have been perfect. She'd have ruffled some feathers.
Yeah, that and this pandemic, I think she'd have a thing to say, or a thing about public health to say.
I'm sure she would. It's always lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time again today. And yeah, good luck.
Scott.
Thank you so
Real
much.
pleasure. Thanks so much. Bye.
Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys! Hey, you guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey,